You're listening to Opera Box Score.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Wherever you are, however you're listening, it's America's talk radio show about opera. It's Opera Box Score. I'm Ashley Hardgrave, joined this week by Oliver Camacho and Matt Cummings. All right, this week, Matthew Polenzani goes Inside the Huddle. The internationally acclaimed Evanston, Illinois native superstar tenor returns to his home stadium as Giasone in Medea. And what's your favorite season? We're going to break down the nominations for International Opera Awards and put a thumb on the scale for the Audience Choice Readers Award. You know there's got to be some advantages to being a friend of the show. Please, there are several. Plus, in the 2-minute drill, Opera for Veterans, Dr. Cristina Yang makes her Met debut, and some good news in Philly and the UK. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast on Spotify. You're going to click follow on Apple Podcasts. You're going to hit the plus sign. You can also stream episodes of OBS every Saturday at 10 a.m. Central at amplisoundsradio.com. You can also email us your hot takes by writing to mailbag@operaboxscore.com, or you can upload a voice memo using the You Got Something to Say tab on our website, which is, guess what, operaboxscore.com. However you contribute, you'll get an OBS beer coaster, an OBS lapel pin, and a #1 OBS fan foam finger just for sharing your own hot take. We have a very interesting trio in the house tonight. Oliver Camacho, let's start with you. How you doing?
Good. A little disappointed about the Labor Cup results, and I said I wasn't going to pay attention to any sports in the non-slam portion of the year, but you can't keep me away from a platinum blonde Carlos Alcaraz.
I mean, honestly, you took the words right out of my mouth. Matt Cummings, how are you with your platinum blondes?
I'm so relieved that I got to hear Oliver talk about tennis one more time
Phew.
in September, because I don't know what I would have done otherwise. How about you, Miss Hardgrave?
Well, you know, speaking of September, that means we are now in full season football swing, both at the NFL and the collegiate level. And my two teams, you know, they split the difference on joy and pain this weekend. Hooray for the Bears and getting their first home win of the regular season against who? The Cowboys. Fans in Philadelphia are also very happy for us. Unfortunately, my dear, sweet University of Arkansas Razorbacks lost a heartbreaker to the University of Memphis, so it was a big win for Memphis. Funnily enough, my college boyfriend is the band director for the University of Memphis, and so I'm pretty sure I saw him on the telecast. Anyway, we're not here to talk about that. Let's talk about some opera.
Huddle up. Let's go Inside the Huddle.
Next month, Lyric Opera of Chicago opens its season with a concert featuring Brian Stokes Mitchell and Laura Benatti. But the first opera of the season is Cherubini's Medea, featuring friends of the show, Sandra Babanovsky as the titular Medea, friend of the show, Elena Villalon as Glauce, and one of our first guests ever on Opera Box Score, Matthew Polenzani, singing Giasone. He returns to OBS, and it's sort of a nuts interview. I had exactly 45 minutes with him to record a long format interview on my other job at WFMT, which will air October 4th. And Matthew is such a chatty Cathy. What I should have done is just let him keep going and then just cut out little bits that I couldn't use for the radio and turn them into a bunch of free throws because he had so much to say. But I did want to get some of his complete thoughts. So you'll hear me trying to compress 3 questions into the very limited time we had together after our formal interview. We'll talk about why he thinks opera is a tough sell for American audiences and even a tough sell for foreign tourists. The difference between getting an opera on its feet in Germany and Austria over the rehearsal process in the US, and his own approach to vocal longevity. He is in his early 50s, I want to say, but still sounds like a man in his 30s. Before we join this conversation, here's a little bit of vintage Matthew Polenzani singing the aria from Bizet's The Pearl Fishers.
Savoir You have to be at a rehearsal at 3:00. Do you have 10 more minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. I want you to, you touched on so many topics. You were talking about what is the value of opera in the 21st century, and how does the U.S. stand in terms of, how we're educating our audience and how we're marketing to them when other places seem to do it just fine, like Germany, for example. You also
It's not as good there as you might think.
Yeah. Vienna, maybe?
Vienna, but even in Vienna, I would say half the tickets are going to tourists.
Okay.
So it's a little different. Yes, that's better there than it is here, but it's not quite as great. It's not quite as great. Sorry, I didn't know this was going to be.
No, it's okay. Yeah.
Okay. No, I would just say, yeah, things are better as a generality in Europe. But we have to remember, number one, of course, in a place like Vienna, like we were just saying, this theater, it takes in a lot of tourist ticket revenue. So people who come to Vienna to visit, they got to go to the Vienna State Opera. And yeah, why? Well, it's just one of the premier theaters in the world. It's beautiful, and how cool to say you went there, know? But, we have to remember as Americans anyway, that we didn't birth opera. We adopted it. So we birthed Broadway, I guess you could say. We gave birth to jazz. Those musical genres started here, And
so people who come to the U.S. think of that as our...
Yeah, we have to go. If I'm going to New York, well, yeah, the Met's interesting, but I should see it. I need to see The Lion King or whatever, whatever's on. I mean, listen, that's not a denigration or a condemnation of that at all. I've been to The Lion King. I mean, we take our kids to see shows, and they love it. They also come to the opera, though, when Dad is singing anyways. And so, part of it is because it's not our art form, and the other thing, of course, is that audiences throughout the 20th century, up until, say, 1970 or 80, and this would include myself because I was born in the late 60s. I mean, these people were educated about opera, not just because it was a valuable lesson to learn, about the fact that a voice could make enough noise to be heard over an orchestra without a microphone. I mean, even today, 30 plus years into a career, I'll play golf with somebody who says, "Oh, you're an opera." Oh, well, where do they put the mics? I'm like, there is no mic. That's just me. That's my voice. And it's, it's being produced in such a way that you can hear it over the orchestra, whoa, I had no idea. And yeah, you had no idea. And isn't that terrible? I mean, that's an interesting little skill, and obviously, I mean, opera had when movie and film, and of course now we have any number of streaming services and the internet. I mean, when that stuff didn't exist or didn't occupy the place in culture that it occupies now, opera was important. Opera was important enough that Beverly Sills hosted The Tonight Show. Okay. I mean, if you want to argue that Anna Netrebko is the biggest opera star singing today, or Jonas Kaufmann, or whoever you want to say, could you see, I mean, the biggest American, I don't know who the biggest American opera star is
Renee
today.
Fleming, probably. Still,
Renee. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yes, of course, Renee. If you put Renee Fleming, in a late night seat, people would be like, Renee? Renee Fleming. I mean, she is a famous woman, and actually, I'm certainly more famous than plenty of minor league
influencers.
Whatever. Yeah, exactly. I mean, she's way more well known than that sort of person. But an ABC or an NBC or a CBS or whatever, I don't think they would be like, what are you talking about? You know? And what a shame. you know, because Renee is a witty woman, actually. She's very funny and fun to be around. Anyway, you know, like we don't study it because we don't value it. And if we don't teach the kids from a younger age about why this music is important, if we don't instill in them an idea that this music is important, well, they're certainly not going to value it when they get older. You're going to have to hope that one of them gets lucky and sees something that inspires, you know, and that puts us as a art form in a difficult place, you know. And of course, we court younger audiences all the time. The only trouble with that is, of course, that the younger audience doesn't have any money. So, all right, well, we've got it, but we have to build someplace. We have to start somewhere. But I mean, you know, the arts in schools, anyways, are always the first thing to go. You know, music, art. I mean, like, that's what goes. And we don't have time. I can't believe my own kids start at 7:30 because of band. You know, like, there's no time for band in the day. You know, but crikey, I was in 2 vocal ensembles in high school, and I had no trouble, you know. Anyway, I don't know.
Well, as long as we were sort of on the topic of Germany and Europe, earlier in our formal conversation, you had mentioned that you had to negotiate with yourself whether or not to accept the contract because the rehearsal process was too slow or too quick, too short. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit more about that, about those negotiations you make with your management, with opera companies, based on what role you'll sing and what the schedule really is like for people who have not yet worked in like the German system?
Well, of course, yeah. So in Germany and in Austria in particular, a typical rehearsal process might only be 4 or 5 days. Like, just add water and go, you know. And I had plenty of those in my career. Sometimes you'll get 2 weeks if you're really lucky. Most of the time you need at least a new production's worth, a new production in order for them to say, all right, we're going to give 6 weeks, you know, which now 6 weeks is too long. I think 3 weeks is a perfect number of weeks to rehearse something. It's just enough that, if you want to, like, even in this Medea, we're changing stuff around all over the place. Sir David McVicker, who is the director, is reimagining everything. And it's great because the whole rehearsal process has gotten way more interesting.
And you already know the music so well.
Yeah, exactly. You know, so at any rate, because those rehearsals are so small, it's like in Germany and Austria. Well, it's hard to go for a piece that you don't know very well. So, and I referenced the Faust that I had. I would have had just 1 week to put it up, and I thought, you know what? I'm sure I could make it go, but do I want to? And in the end, I decided I didn't want to do that. That I preferred to put it up the right way, with at least 2 weeks of rehearsal. And I've done plenty of new things on 2 weeks. And even 2 weeks is okay. It's on the short side, but it's okay. Especially if I've had time to prepare before. But if I'm trying to make a decision about whether or not I'm going to take something that will require such a short period that I don't know or haven't sung, well, then a lot of times it's going to come down to the theater that's doing it, the person who's conducting it, or the director who's directing it. And if those are places that I haven't been, or people I want to be with, or if it's a great friend who I'm singing with, and I've tons of great friends from over all these years in the business. I mean, like, there's a great friend and I know I want to be singing with Ludovic or whoever. I mean, like, then yeah, you know what? The job becomes more interesting. So then what that means is I've got to spend an inordinate amount of time getting something perfectly put together before I arrive, so that when it comes time to actually rehearse and do it, well, I've had a frame of reference. What the 3 weeks of rehearsal gives us is opportunity to practice and work in a setting without an audience. So you can work stuff out. And if things aren't going the way you want vocally or whatever, or even dramatically, you've got time to sort it. And if you only got 3 or 4 days, well, there's no time to sort. That's just sing and hope that everything goes the way you want it to go. And so, like, you know, like, I've done that very rarely in my life. When I've gone to Germany, I've gone to Austria, almost always it's been for something I've sung often. And, so that I don't have to worry about. Yeah. So I don't have to worry about whether or not.
It's about the staging. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have literally 2.5 minutes left with you. And I wanted to go back to something you said in our other interview about, being the age that you are now and wishing you had your 30-year-old voice. Can you talk about, does it have to do with recovery? Does it have to do with just, as you maybe suggested, that the voice is getting darker and lower?
No, I mean, like that, of course, me wishing I had my 30-year-old voice, that is absolutely a double-edged sword. There are plenty of things I can do today that I could never have done at 30. And there's certainly, I am able to produce a sound that has much more body and steel in it than I could in those days. And so, yeah, I could, like, my voice today, while I could probably still make Ecco Ridente from Barbara Seville go, I mean, like, it wouldn't be fun. I mean, like, I could still do it. Part of it has to do with the recovery. Part of it has to do with how quickly you learn, and how easy it is to put things into a voice, because a 30-year-old voice, it doesn't tire in the same way. And, you can make a 30-year-old voice tired. Absolutely. But you can get away with, say, a level or a quality of singing that might not be perfect, but doesn't cost. Whereas, like, as you get older, like, you have to be more right, because you don't want to be tired the next day. You don't want to be wrecked the next day. And certainly you don't want to have to say, hey, look, I've sung so much. I need a little break, So, I mean, I don't know. Those are musings of a guy who's listening to younger singers and going, oh yeah, I remember what it was like to be that. I remember what it was like to sound like that. And you know what? I'm terrible at tooting my own horn, but I'm aware that my singing is still quite a young style of singing, and that my voice doesn't sound like a voice that's been working for 30 plus years.
You have that doesn't age quality.
Yeah. I mean, like, so, and that's a blessing, but it's also been through hard work. And, we talked a little bit about it during the musical portion. I mean, like, I've changed things up. I haven't sung 150 performances of Bohème or 150 performances of Rigoletto. I've hardly sung 100 performances of anything. I bet you that the number of operas I've given more than 100 performances of might be 3 or 4. I mean, maybe. And that's just guesswork for me. I'm certain that there's plenty of things that I'm famous for that I probably only gave 30 times, And obviously my time spent singing with the piano too is, that just costs a lot less than it does, to be standing on a stage making noise that has to cover an orchestra, or at least sail through an orchestra. So, I mean, I've been careful and judicial about what I've chosen over the years, and I've tried hard to choose things that would be, right for me now, but also, interesting. So it's difficult, and sometimes I do have arguments with my manager about it. But normally we're on the same page, which has been a great thing for me. Matthew,
your call is in like 13 minutes, so thank you so much for being our guest.
It's great to be here, Oliver. Take care.
A little more Matthew Polenzani from the Metropolitan Opera presentation of Medea. Once again, Matthew Polenzani sings Giasone in Lyric Opera of Chicago's Medea, October 11th through the 26th.
And if you like hearing these fantastic nuggets from these fantastic singers, hey, you know what you can do? You can support our show. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast on Spotify. You're going to click follow on Apple Podcasts. You're going to hit the plus sign. More subscribers means more fun for you.
Chalk Talk on Opera Box Score.
So the big news of this week, we're taking out of the drill, and we're going to just talk a little bit about it here as a Chalk Talk. all of my friends' feeds are filled with the International Opera Awards nominations. The shortlist is here. Back in the opera nowadays, we used to call these the hymens, but that somehow did not stick. So let's just call them the International Opera Awards. Ashley, do you want to kind of help guide us through some of these categories?
Yeah, why don't we start with, you know what, let's just start with who populates the podium. Let's talk about the people in the conductor category. Obviously, you've got some OGs in there like Kent Nagano. You've got some more of the moment folks. Anybody jumping out at you, Oliver?
Well, Edward Gardner is a conductor who is so prolific, at least as a recording artist. In my other job, I have to catalog new recordings, and I swear to you that his name comes across my desk at least once a month. I don't know what he is doing with all these recording projects he has, mostly with the Shandos label. So I'm curious to see. I mean, I did not see this performance that he conducted. I mean, the thing about the nominations page of International Opera Awards, which we will link to on our website, operaboxscore.com, is they don't tell us what he was conducting that got him nominated. But I assume that the Susanna Melki might have to do with the recent Penelope at the Munich Festival, or maybe it's for Innocence. I think she was also the conductor. So that might have been 2 years ago.
The Sarajevo?
Yes.
Hall of
Oh,
Fame.
sorry,
OBS.
yeah.
Hall of Famer. So yeah, I'm not sure what Susanna Melki is nominated here for, but I know that Giacomo Sagripanti was at the Met conducting Barbara Seville, among other things. Karen Kamensek. Boy, I have no idea what she conducted, but there are at least two women on this list, and the other sort of old timer, for lack of a better word, like kind of veteran in the group, is the French, or is he Portuguese? Alain Tinoglu. He has one of those weird names. I don't know where he comes from, but yeah. I have nothing more to say. None of these people are friends of the show, so
So it's a jump ball, but
it is a jump. I think we're gonna just go with Susanna Melki just because she has an umlaut in her name. We gotta appreciate
for the fun and the whimsy of it. As we move on to female singer, continuing with the basketball analogy, I am going to leave this as a layup for my buddy Matt Cummings. I think we know that there's one far and away that you're going to be pulling for in this category.
I mean, definitely some strong contenders. We've got Anastasia Bartoli, not the Bartoli that maybe comes to mind first, but we're pulling for all of our Bartolis out there. Elsa Dreisig, Véronique Jean, Asmi Grigorian, Adela Zaharia, and saving my personal pick, the best for last, that would be Sandra Radvanovsky.
So Sandra Radvanovsky closed the
friend of the show
2024-25 season at the Met, reprising the role of Tosca in a production that had no less than 3 different Toscas. I think we know that Lisa Davidson was one of the Toscas. I forget who the other one was. Maybe it was the Sonia Yoncheva. I'm not sure. But Sandra Radvanovsky was the critics' pick for that trio of Tosca productions. And apparently also the audience favorite, as she managed to sell out or nearly sell out the Met, which she told me in my other job that the last time the Met had box office success that great was for her Medea, which once again is coming to Chicago on October 11th.
Oh, such a natural segue.
Yeah. I mean, I love Sandra, obviously. I do have a little bit of affection, not a little bit, a lot of affection for Véronique Jean. And I have to say that Asmi Grigorian...
She's a really thrilling singer. I would love to hear her live.
Yeah. More and more, I'm interested in what she has to offer as an artist.
In the male singer category, we've got a few more pals and friends of the show, but I will save them for the end. We've got people in this category that we want to be friends of the show, like Nicholas Brownlee. We've got Mika Karas. We've got Brinley Sherratt. We've got Reinoud van Mechelen, and then we've got 2 darling friends of the show, Solomon Howard and Hugh Montague Rendell. Oliver, I feel like you and I may split the difference on this one.
Well, I'll go with the obvious choice for myself, but I will say before that Solomon's performance of Hunding in Die Valkyrie at Santa Fe this year was a revelation. It was sort of, it's hard to talk about this in a way that doesn't make me sound like ignorant, but the three lead men in the Santa Fe production were all tall and imposing black men. Friend of the show, Ryan Speedo Green, James McCorkle, I think is his name, was his Siegfried, and then Zygmunt, yeah. But Solomon was so terrifying. That's one dig. And we know that Solomon is like an extremely physically fit person. Also a great dresser, but has nothing to do with this. But he's a big guy. And yeah, it was definitely a very, imposing presence he has on the stage. And yeah, I was really impressed with that casting. But Hugh Montegrandel is one of my all-time favorite, not all-time, one of my favorite singers of the moment, and has the chance of being one of my all-time favorite singers. I think Hugh is such an emotional performer. He's such an intelligent performer. And I've said this before, I'm still wounded by his performance of Peleas in Santa Fe from 2 years ago. And I watched some of his Billy Budd from his Vienna State Opera performance in the fall. And he's just so, tender and vulnerable and emotional. And it really just touches me so much every time I see him perform. So my heart is with Hugh.
I mean, we knew that without the exposition, but yes, I agree with you. And thank you so much for your commentary. Now, this is an award that we can all be a part of because you can also vote on this. It's available to vote on their website. Let's talk about the Readers Award. We do have a friend of the show in the category, but I'd be interested to hear what either of you have in terms of thoughts on the Readers Award.
So going to the Readers Award, the nominees are Freddie Di Tommaso, the tenor of the moment, Amartovshin Ankbat, Elena Garancha, Wallace Junta, friend of the show Yosef Orlinsky, Marina Rebecca, Nadine Sierra, and Bogdan Volkov. A real variety of singers there.
Yeah. I've heard almost all of these singers perform live, except for Bogdan Volkov, and I guess I've never heard live Amar Tushin Ankbat, unless he's been in Chicago. I don't remember it.
I don't think so, but I might have egg on my face too.
Yeah, I just feel like Freddie Di Tommaso is a very fast rising star, like barnstorming the opera world, and he's barely 30 years old, and he's already singing this Lirico Spinto repertoire, and it's sort of reminiscent of Richard Tucker, like just from the onset, having that tone quality that's just asking to sing that more, dramatic repertoire, even though the voice is obviously still very fresh and young. I think he's very exciting. I did really enjoy his Cavaradossi with Lisa Davidson. Yeah, and he's also a very smart guy. I don't know if you've ever, if you follow him on social media, or if you seen some of the content he does with classical FM. He just seems really thoughtful, and he seems to really understand the history of opera and the history of our art, and where he fits into the landscape. He's very self-aware. Not to say that these other people aren't, but there's maybe one person or even two people on this list whose personality makes me not want to vote for them.
Oh my. Well, I mean, this one, I wish I knew more about sort of the history of the audience vote on this category, because I'm trying to figure out, are they going to be, is it going to be like what's the People's Choice Awards, where it's kind of more the mainstream, everyman, most recognizable that wins, or is it something that's got a little more finesse? Are the people who are voting on this award going to be a little bit more finesse? Because if that's the case, I think it's going to be more along the lines of something a little more old school. Say, I can't believe I'm saying old school for this, but a Nadine Sierra, she's been in this echelon for quite a while, as opposed to some of the younger.
A career recognition.
But she's still young. But she does feel, it feels like she's been around forever. But yeah, I don't even think she's 40 yet.
She's definitely like young as far as, being an adult, but in terms of being on the international stage and recognizable, she popped off pretty quickly. So it feels like she's a lot older than she is just because she's been around for a long time, not because of her voice sounding different, because she still sounds fabulous. So yeah, this is kind of a toss up.
I want to shout out Marina Rebecca's Rossini album. I've always been a little bit hot and cold about Marina Rebecca because I think that she's very technically good, but I don't ever sense, I know this sounds terrible, I don't ever sense that she's really in it in the music. But her Rossini album, I guess it came out at this point like 4 years ago. I think it's a really, really good recording. And yeah, she's now taking on roles like Norma and stuff like that. So she's managed to keep her technique going. And she's also not a spring chicken, this Marina Rebecca.
Well, if you want to vote for this spring chicken or a different spring chicken, remember that you have the ability to vote in these categories at operaawards.org/vote.
But we'll put the link on our own website.
We will put the link on our website. So, all right, dealer's choice, kids. We can keep going across the grid or we can move to a different category.
We'll just quickly mention the new productions. Castor et Pollux at Paris National Opera. The Excursions of Mr. Bruchek at the Borno Theater and Staatsoper Berlin and Teatro Reale. It's a co-production. Force of Destiny, Greek National Opera, and Rodula Gaetanao. I have no idea what that means.
I think that's the director.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. The Innocents we talked about at the Semper Opera Dresden. Covacina at the Salzburg Festival, the Salzburg Easter Festival. Louise at Aix-en-Provence.
Oh, I mean, how are you going to vote against Louise?
I never do.
The new Klaus Guth Salome. And the Wozzeck in Vlaanderen, that's Flanders, that's Belgium, so Opera Ballet.
Mm-hmm.
The other one that I've seen of these has been the Salome, and it was astounding. It was really, really impressive stage mechanics and, complete thoughts about the design and the stage direction. Very, very well executed. Even if you disagree with the concept, it was executed at a very high level. I heard the Louise at the Aix-en-Provence Festival, and I heard about the Castor et Pollux because we were talking about Janine de Beek's French diction not too long ago. But yeah, I can't really put my thumb on the scale on these things because I haven't seen the rest of them, but I was impressed by the Salome. Festivals this year that are nominated are Innsbruck Early Music Festival, the Janáček Borno Festival, Munich Opera Festival, Opera Forward Festival, Opera Theater of St. Louis, and Rossini Opera Festival. Obviously, Opera Theater of St. Louis is a friend of the show and was our bracket winner when we did our Summer Festival March Madness this year. So I guess we should keep our, stand by our winners and vote for Opera Theater of St. Louis, especially since they had a dinner in my honor this year. Rising stars include Adele Charvet, mezzo-soprano, countertenor Hugh Cutting, the conductor Karim Hassan, mezzo-soprano Deepa Jani, director Kenza Kuchukali, soprano Carolina Lopez Moreno, mezzo-soprano, it's one of those Irish names,
Neve.
Neve.
Oh, wow. Neve O'Sullivan.
Welcome to the Irish language, yes.
Yeah. Baritone Carl Pachon, mezzo-soprano Sunli Pierce, and baritone Ricardo Jose Rivera. Ricardo Jose Rivera is sort of a hometown hero since he did the Ryan Opera Center, but I'm going to say Hugh Cutting, who I picked at the beginning of this year as somebody to watch, and I got to stick with it. Quick hit on the world premieres, friend of the show Ricky and Gordon, with librettist Lynn Nottage and Ruby Ayo Gerber's This House from this season's Opera Festival St. Louis was nominated. So that's the official OBS pick. And then we can go to the last categories here, which I think are important to me and Weston. Maybe, I don't know, Matt, if you have anything to say about the recordings category. For complete operas, we have That Carmen. We talked about
Carmen.
That Carmen, which had the
wrong photograph of the wrong Don Jose.
A new Atis of Lully from the Chateau de Versailles Spectacle. The new Dido featuring Joyce DiDonato. Who else is on that? Michael Spires, friend of the show. I forget the name of the Belinda, but I know that the sailor is Lawrence Kilsby, who I adore. Friend of the show, Huang Rose, An American Soldier, which
That's
we
my
talked about.
pick.
Yeah, we talked about an opera box score. A new Zalome on the Shandos label. I think that's
Malin Bergström.
Yeah. Eugene Onegin on Naxos. I have no idea who's on that one. The Opera Rara, Simon Boccanegra, and a new Ring Cycle. Of these recordings, I've only listened to American Soldier and Dido Nunez, and I have to say it's a pretty sweet Dido with Joyce DiDonato, Il Pomodoro, and Maxim Emelianachev conducting. Matt, any words on the complete operas?
The cast list for the Onegin is pretty excellent. It's Stefan Degout and Sally Matthews, and the other nominee Bogdan Volkov. So that one definitely would catch my eye. It's a DVD recording.
And you watch it, and you record
You would
back
have to watch it, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of not fair that they're putting DVDs up against CDs, but this is 2025, folks. This is the state of recordings. And finally, we're going to talk about the solo recital recordings. Eleonora Burato has an album on the Pentatone label called Indomita. Rosa Feola, also on Pentatone, has an album called Son Regina e Sono Amante. Friend of the show, Amanda Forsyth, for her Telemont arias and the Eno cantata. Anne Hallenberg singing Gluck arias. Roberta Mamelli singing The Ghosts of Hamlet. Don't know what that is. Hugh Montague Rendell, his debut album on Warner, Contemplation. Lisette Oropeza's Zarzuela album, Mis Amores Son las Flores. And Eva Zajcik's Rebelle. Well, that's tough for me because Amanda is a friend and Hugh is the love of my life, so I don't know what I'm going to do.
And Lizette is Lizette.
Yeah.
Matt, what do you pick on that category?
I'm always interested to hear people take a swing at some of those big bel canto gals like Eleonora Barato is at Indomita. Rosa Feola, I love her singing. Her album is Neapolitan Songs, which, while lovely, does just a little bit. It's a little bit disappointing that it's not an operatic recital, I'll be honest with you.
Son Regina is Neapolitan Songs?
And no, it's not it's not Neapolitan Songs. It's arias with the Capella Neapolitana.
Yeah, the Eno recording, the Amanda Forsyth Telemont arias, I did a show on that for my other job, and it's such good singing, top to bottom. So technical, but so beautiful, and it's Boston Early Music Festival, so the band is great. I feel like that's where I should go with Amanda Forsyth. I'll be very happy. I'll be happy if Amanda or Hugh or Lizette win.
Well, and we can split the difference on Hugh. If Hugh wins male singer, we won't feel so bad if he does not win the solo recording category. And we'll be able to revisit all of this after these awards are offered and hosted by the Greek National Opera on November the 13th. Remember, you too can vote for the 2025 Readers Award until midnight GMT on Monday, October 13th. In the meantime, why don't you help us spread the word about this fantastic show we're doing over here by giving us a rating on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify? And if you have a few moments, why not write us a review? You can review our excellent coverage, which is in your earballs every week, and the 2-minute drill coming up next.
This just in. The 2-minute drill.
All right, listen up. Here's everything you need to know about what happened in Operaland this week.
Opera Vermont has announced a groundbreaking 8-year cycle dedicated to the complete operas of William Grant Still, a.k.a. the Dean of African American Composers. Artistic Director Joshua Collier describes the initiative as not just an operatic endeavor, but a cultural commitment to honor William Grant Still's legacy and to bring long-overlooked masterworks into the repertoire, with the company partnering with academic institutions including Clark University and the Langy School of Music.
The Met will open Behind the Seams, costuming the Met, its largest costume exhibition ever. This is running now through June 6th of next year and accessible to ticket holders for any performance. The exhibition chronicles nearly 150 years of operatic costume artistry, featuring garments from the late 19th century to present day, including Birgit Nilsson's Turandot gown, which was designed by Cecil Beaton. According to Archives director Maurice Wheeler, the exhibition showcases how costumes serve as powerful storytellers that carry the history of the company and the artistry of the stage in every stitch.
The Ryan Opera Center 2026-2027 ensemble has been selected. Sopranos Kylie Kreuker and Josie Larson were selected at the finals event. Mezzo-sopranos Alexis Peart and Camille Robles return for a second season, as does tenor Daniel Luis Espinal. No new tenor was selected at the finals event. The ensemble adds baritone Adam Partridge and See Who returns for a second season. New bass baritones include Matthew Dexter and Lynn Fahn, and bass baritone Benjamin R. Sokol returns for a second season. Bravi tutti to all the finalists, and special congratulations to the audience favorite award winner from the finals event, soprano Kylie Kreuker.
Emmy award-winning actress Sandra Oh will make her Met debut as the Duchess of Krakenthorp in Daughter of the Regiment, joining a distinguished line of stars including Kathleen Turner, Marianne Seldes, and Bea Arthur, who have performed this role. Oh, known for Grey's Anatomy and Killing Eve, recently seen in Shakespeare in the Park's 12th Night and off-Broadway's The Welkin, will perform alongside friends of the show Erin Morley as Marie and Lawrence Brownlee as Tonio.
The show Chicago Fringe Opera launches its 12th season at the Ear Taxi Festival, a landmark event showcasing contemporary music across Chicagoland. The Ear Taxi Festival presents Chicago Fringe Opera as an anchor performance on October 17th, featuring 3 works: an excerpt of Katie Soper's Here Be Sirens, an excerpt of Regina Harris by Yocke's No One's Child, and On My Mind by Jasmine Barnes and Deborah Deep Mouton.
Toledo Opera has launched the Veterans Access Pass, offering up to 20 complimentary tickets per performance to veterans, courtesy of the Commodore Perry Post. The initiative was inspired by the overwhelming gratitude and joy at last season's South Pacific, according to Development Officer Leah Whitaker, who noted that the program's expansion coincides with America's 250th birthday and serves as a way to honor their service through the arts.
Crunching the numbers. In an interview for the Associated Press, friend of the show Anthony Roth Costanzo reports that Opera Philadelphia's radical pricing strategy attracted audiences that were 2/3 first-time buyers and mostly under 45, helping the company end last season with a $2.4 million surplus and doubling the number of performances for the new season.
Finally, some good news in UK classical music. The 2025 BBC Proms concluded its season with record-breaking digital engagement. According to a report, the festival's digital audience surged by almost 1/3 since 2024, with BBC iPlayer and BBC Sounds generating 6.1 million streams, up from 4.6 million last year. And live attendance reached nearly 300,000, with more than half of Royal Albert Hall audiences attending their first prom.
In major awards news, the Parma's Festival Verdi has received Italy's Medaglia del Presidente della Repubblica. This year's festival offerings showcase productions of Macbeth, Otello, and Falstaff. And friend of the show Jake Heggie has received the San Francisco Opera Medal. The award presentation took place following the September 14th performance of Dead Man Walking, which also marked the 25th anniversary of that opera's premiere. It's old enough to rent a car.
Exit stage right, bass baritone Siegmund Nimsgern has died at age 85. Nimsgern got his start in regional German houses before becoming an ensemble member at the Deutsche Oper am Rhein. Nimsgern went on to perform at the world's most prestigious opera houses in roles such as Jokinen, Nabucco, and especially Wotan, which he sang at the Bayreuth Festival between the years of 1983 and 1986. Nimsgern left numerous recordings, including a Grammy Award-winning turn as Telramund in George Schulte's Lohengrin set.
And on this day, September 22nd, first performances include Niccolo Gemelli's L'Unione Coronata in 1768, Rodolphe Kreuzer's Jadis et Aujourd'hui in Vienna in 1826, the first performance of Das Rheingold in Munich without Wagner's permission, that happened in 1869, and in 1964 is the first performance of the Broadway musical Fiddler on the Roof.
Some birthdays today. 1854 saw the birth of American music critic and writer Henry T. Fink, whose seminal work was Wagner and His Work, Volume 1. He could have told us all about that story about Rheingold being premiered without his permission. 1891 was the birth of American tenor and composer Ralph Errol. He wrote operas such as Prince Elmar and The Messenger, and was the teacher of opera box score favorites Arlene Auger and James King. German-American baritone Herbert Janssen was born in Köln in 1892. He sang at the Met in particularly as the Wanderer in Siegfried. German soprano Elisabeth Redberg was born in 1894. She also sang at the Met for a number of seasons, most famously as Aida in Aida. Italian conductor Nello Santi was born in 1931, and a few happy birthdays to the livings. Happy birthday to Bulgarian soprano Anna Tomova-Sintov, born in 1941, English-based John Tomlinson in 1946, and Russian baritone Vladimir Chernov in 1953.
And that's your 2-minute drill.
A little bit of the luminous Anna Tomova-Sintov singing Ein schönes war from a live performance, actually, of Ariadne auf Naxos. She is also on one of my preferred full sets of the opera with Agnes Balz as componist and Kathleen Battles Zerbinetta.
I love her voice. I think actually her 4 last songs recording is pretty awesome. The Ernani that she got on stage and sang, the Ernani and Volami, she sang it at the 1983 Met Centennial Gala. God, how could I remember the 1983 Met Centennial Gala? I was 8 years old. I think I watched it in high school or something like that when I was like addicted to opera and borrowing stuff from the public library. But I just loved that cabaletta so much. And I remember her finishing the cabaletta. It's like what, a high B or a high C? I think it's IB. And she barely finished singing the note and the audience started applauding. And I just loved the look on her face as she almost like laughed that the audience was so enthusiastic about it. It was a really sweet moment and burned into my memory. Sorry, Ashley, go on.
No, that's how you know it's good. It's if they start clapping even before you're done. That's how you know it's good. You know, this week's news, in the words of the amazing musical The Wiz, it seems like we have no bad news this week, at least that we're reporting on. I'm delighted. We need this turn. I know someone's going to have something to say about the $11 tickets, so I'm just going to turn it over to you two and let you hash it out.
I mean, I just love the logic behind it that Anthony Roth Costanzo was like $25 tickets. That's a good number, but like everyone does $25 tickets, and they're just going to think that means the back of the nosebleed section. Like, wow, how special. And from there, just figuring that like a not round number, like not 10, not 15, would stick out to people's minds. Like, and we're talking about it. Clearly it worked. And it's not like the point of that initiative is to bring in money. It's to bring in new blood, new people who might find that they're actually interested in opera. So $11 is a good price to pay for that.
I mean, it's an absolute steal.
The news behind the news is that Opera Philadelphia has been getting great PR. This is the second round of stories on the $11 ticket initiative. They also have been getting press for their opening of Viaggio and also that event. I guess it was like a gala event where the singing turned into art. I forget exact.
Yeah, the visual art.
Yeah.
Right.
But just so many stories coming out of Opera Philadelphia. It means that there must be somebody behind the scenes making Opera Philadelphia look so great in the press. I wonder who it could be.
Who is that? Well, while you think about that, Oliver, do you want to tell us why you're mad at the BBC proms?
I'm not mad at the BBC proms per se. I wish that I had enough money and I was white enough to attend the BBC proms. It sounds like such a fun event. Anybody who's gone to it tells me what a feeling is there for classical music, and people get excited and they'll see like really niche stuff, and they'll fill out Royal Albert Hall, and it just seems like something that we need here in the US, like a festival that people get excited about and, buy up tickets as soon as they go on sale and like line up and, have these traditions where they have these weird traditions, like where they, sing the same pieces.
Everyone has to sing Rule Britannia.
Yeah, exactly. And they get Louise Alder coming out there dressed like the British flag, It seems so cool. And maybe I'm over romanticizing it because I actually haven't been, and I haven't been scorned by the mostly white audience, I assume. But I'm annoyed about the BBC sounds, and like this article that we're referencing in our Crunching the Numbers segment talks about the increased engagement they've gotten on their app, which they closed off to non-British users. So the fact that they've seen a rise in streams up almost 1.5 million from last year, on top of, limiting the app to just the UK. That is actually incredible numbers. And I'm sad that I no longer have access to BBC Sounds. I have a friend who works in tech and created like a
VPN.
Yeah. But I'm just scared to use that stuff on my phone. I feel like I'm going to get like sued,
Well, come wishes be horses. This beggar shall stream. I will certainly be streaming any performance of Sandra Oh as the Duchess of Krakenthorp in the Daughter of the Regiment, and not just because of the friends of the show who are filling out the cast with her.
That is right. Our Rita Wu, our Cristina Yang, our Eve Pilastri, our Stephanie in Sideways.
Our Vice Principal Gupta.
Vice Principal Gupta, never ever forget. No, I love this, and I love that this is a tradition. I love that she's joining the ranks of B. Arthur. But the thing is, she's really been, she kind of had a lot of commercial success. She did some films, she did some television, she's done some sort of fun, campy things. But I mean, girl's got chops. She has acting chops. She's been getting rave reviews for her turn in Shakespeare in the Park. So everything about this just makes me happy. Also, she seems like I love all Canadians, and so I just feel like I would love her as well. So I am terribly excited about this Krakenthorp.
Good call. Bad call on Opera Box Score.
Good call, bad call, how we end our show every week. Let's begin with Oliver Camacho.
We're recording on September 22nd, as you heard in the 2-minute drill. And this morning, the Met released its new, appeal in their campaign, The Voice Must Be Heard, this year, accompanied by a beautiful video, which we will link to in our show notes. Actually, it'll be our video embedded into the show notes for today episode on operaboxscore.com. And this year it features Nadine Sierra, which is, I think she was in it the last time. But there's also the tenor, who I think is going to be singing in a Puritani. God, can I say his name? It's really hard. Xavier. Anyway, he's handsome. And most of all, Ying Fang is in this video. And you all know how much I love Ying Fang. I've been saying it since I first heard her sing. She's like one of the best technical singers of her generation. And I think she will go down in history as one of the great Mozartians. And I just love her performance. So watch this video for Ying Fang.
And next we move to Matt Cummings.
I, like many Americans, have been using the news from last week as an excuse to escape from the world and look at the beautiful face of Robert Redford in his various films. And so this weekend I would like to report back that Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, an unexpected bop. I'm very allergic to Westerns, so I really didn't think that I was going to be into this, but it definitely cut against the stereotype there, and I greatly enjoyed it. But when I was listening to all 48 hours of the Barbra Streisand autobiography, she talked about how incompetent of a film she found The Way We Were to be, and I have to hand it to her. She's completely correct. That movie makes absolutely no sense, and just really seems to be like an excuse for a great song and two beautiful people to act well together in a story that makes no sense.
I'm going to just jump in here and say Xavier Anduaga. Okay.
Nailed it. Good job, Camacho. I have 2 calls this week, one artistic and sentimental and one hilarious and petty. So if you are familiar with the Kane Mason family, the son, Sheku, the cellist, he's the one that played at the last royal wedding of the Markle and the Harry. The entire family, this beautiful musical family from Nottingham, England, has put out a new album called The River of Music. And each one of them plays a different instrument. They're all gorgeous and gorgeously talented. There is a version of Song to the Moon and of Deep River. The Song to the Moon is like gut-wrenchingly beautiful. Also, Arlani Moore those are my sort of top 3 tracks, but the entire album is absolutely gorgeous. And then finally, I want to shout out the Memphis Central High School Marching Band and their director, Dr. Ollie Liddell. They were going to go play a football game at Brighton High School very recently, and the principal of Brighton High School basically banned the Central High School band and did not allow the band to perform at halftime. Some reports say that he thought they were too loud. Some reports say that he thought that they were playing during live play, and they were banned, quote unquote, from performing. The entire band, tickets were purchased for them to come to the game anyway. And so instead of playing their show on their instruments, they played on kazoos. There's incredible footage. I encourage you to check it out because it is just so much delightful joy in light of a very silly situation. That's it for this week's edition of America's Talk Radio Show about opera. Make sure you're going to subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. You can also get your voice heard and find links to stuff that we've talked about on our website, operaboxscore.com. It's also where you can put your money where our mouths are. You can give back to the OBS using the Support the Team tab. Your announcer is Norm Waddell. Your creative consultant is Oliver Camacho. Your audio editor is Weston Williams. And the executive producer of OBS is George Cedarquist. For co-host Matt Cummings with guest Matthew Polenzani, I'm Ashley Hardgrave, asking you to continue the conversation about opera as you thrift for Birgit's hand-me-downs. We are back with an all-new show next week. You're going to get more opera headlines, more hot takes, and more sold-out $11 tickets. Join us.